Hi, Dad. Hi, Bonnie. Did you get to? Oh, you can do that on the other side. Sure. I'm not showing nearly as much cleavage as the last time that camera photographed me. All of my.
So, you hate salmon, but right?
Yeah.
But this is great. Yes?
It is good. It is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Okay. Let me get that on videotape.
Picture of green bean salmon with green sauce.
Pass me the recipe, Mom.
There's Bob, just seething because he has a remark to make, and he's been
I'm not saying it.
yeah,
me with the
had a
recipe.
cork stuck in his mouth.
Dad,
Yes.
here's me with the recipe imprinted on my heart.
Oh yes.
Walk down with me.
As Barb limps down one step at a time on her knee.
Bob, not your best angle.
Okay, you take Mom and Dad. Okay. And we'll get Mom in the computer. There, okay. Good one, Bob.
Yep.
Wait a second
Yes.
there, Doug.
Huh? Yes. The gold.
Accessorized
The accessorized air gate for the car.
to go with the gold car.
Okay.
That's still working.
Is it recording? Yeah.
You tell me, does it say REC?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's recording then.
And you press the red button, get it stopped.
Oh. Oh. All right.
To get into production. We would love to know who he is, but right now we're just doing proposal. So they needed, more than a proposal, they were doing a little promo for it. So they needed just some footage quickly. But the
There's a
reported
Reinhardt,
is a good story.
there's a Reinhardt that's writing this, but it's on the Alaska. Not really.
He quoted all these people who used to work for the government, when the government was exciting, and they were all, has-beens, and yearning for the old days when it was exciting by putting down the current days, which they turned so dull they couldn't possibly stick around.
You look very, very, sort of like Veronica Lake kind of.
Dad?
Bonnie, why don't you get the top one?
Paris what?
Bistro, I think.
Oh, Paris Bistro.
Well, that's a new name, place.
Particularly is interested in owls. So he had a pet owl, among other things, and this pet owl happened to bite him in his hand. And he came down with encephalitis and is now sitting in a wheelchair with no brains and very little physical control over himself. And it's just a basket case. So,
Be careful.
this
Be
is
careful
something
out
to be
there.
I heard somebody say that he
Bats and
neglected it after
carriers
the
of,
alphabetic.
Oh, rabies, sure.
rabies.
You know, Smokey's got my brother Smokey's got this yellow canary, and he took it to the vet the other day to have a physical for it, you know. And so, they went, tested the whole bird out and everything, because he was a little concerned about it. And the vet says, yeah, your bird's just fine, Smokey, and you can take him home, but he only has one problem. Smokey says, what's that? He says, well, he's got chirpies.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Smokey doesn't have a bar.
He's only got a beagle. He's got lots of beagles.
Yeah, well, I've seen skinny little hawks come down and they have big fat doves fly off with them. So
Yeah.
I imagine they could probably fly down and grab one of their little offspring and fly off with them without any problem. But,
Actually, I knew about a little dog that was taken off by a great big hawk.
Ooh, a dog.
And I made the mistake of laughing.
Yeah.
It was a bad mistake. Well, I didn't see it, I just laughed when I heard the story.
It was for real, huh?
The story used to be told by Dick Woods, who was the REA assistant administrator and a good friend of ours. The dad and the son noticed the pattern of this eagle and how he got the land, and he couldn't always carry all of it away, so they captured some of the lamb remains and put it on a trap, and the next time they caught the eagle. Then they decided to teach that eagle a lesson. They strapped a couple sticks of dynamite to the eagle's feet and let him loose. And the eagle took off after some difficulty getting airborne and got just over to the neighbor's barn. There was then an explosion. Shingles went all over the place.
I taught that neighbor a lesson.
A theory began to be developed.
the neighbor.
A theory began to be developed that there was a sort of a strange windstorm that had passed through that valley, and in due time, the neighbor got a settlement from the insurance company. Paid for the windstorm all this happened in Southern Oregon. Idea of cosmetics next to water is baby oil. And it's one of the cheapest things there is. Baby oil is the one thing that you should take with you on a desert island if you're stranded. take at least 5 gallons of it. Anyway, we bought some baby oil and that took care of the back massaging problem. But I was interested in this woman's perception of what the cosmetics industry is all about. It's primarily baby oil. The rest is a little perfume and odds and ends.
Yeah, use long line carrying umbrellas. Well, we marched up, we marched down, nothing. You know, it didn't make any difference. That was the only march I ever marched in as an undergraduate. I think students learned.
Yes, yes. That'd be a little more effective.
Those nice orderly marches.
But it was funny that it was a march protesting. the
Well, that's when
university
people were
trying to
walking out of
interfere.
their job.
Russia.
Alfred E. Newman might be wrong, because I think it's spelled with a W.
We keep eating like this every day.
That's for sure.
That was great food.
Although actually, we keep eating like this every day, would it be healthy?
Yeah.
It's those stops at the bakery that,
Oh, that makes
Are you gonna have any?
Wait till tomorrow morning,
Oh, he
Bob.
makes
Gonna have
homemade
some
waffles.
Belgian-
He's got some in the
Waffles?
freezer. Yes.
Put up the stick.
Melons from California.
Oh, great.
Brandon, what are we gonna do about your blueberry?
oh, she,
For
Health and strength
For health and strength and health and strength, we praise thy name, O Lord. For health and strength, for health and strength, we praise thy name, O praise thy name. For health and strength and health and strength, we praise thy name, we praise thy name. For health and strength and health and strength, we praise thy name, O Lord. Amen.
For later.
Oh no, I'm gonna do it real slowly. Handsome, she says. The bitch.
Oh, that's good. You're up always, don't you know it?
Some German shepherds are very handsome.
Yeah, especially when they're shaved and pink and not so fearful looking.
See, okay, what did I do the last time? I guess I put it to,
Say this?
oh, maybe it was closed. Usually I'm not working on floppy disks, and so I don't quite know how to do it. Okay, well here's, some of them are fairly, kind of grim. Here's one on, here's the Ethiopia.
Oh, give us the green.
Well, and also, that's the one I've worked on, those are the ones I've worked on the most, now that goes downward all the way from here. This is, Christmas was just amazing, because it was it incredible where you were this Christmas? Because it rained and rained, I mean, torrential for days. And then Christmas was beautiful, and then the next day there was a snow, and it was the kind that everybody was worried that the roofs were gonna cave in. It was really something.
I think Mom and Dad were snowed
Oh,
out.
it was- Yeah. Well, this is the day after Christmas. The snowpack on the sidewalk raises me by 6 inches. I mince along, delighted by my slightly elevated condition, as light-footed and as vibrant as a toddler, newly competent on my feet. My arms swing free, unencumbered by purse or bag, and my mittened hands, palms parallel to the ground, balance me. Oh, clever me. I can think of nothing but my feet. This snowy world is easy, even now in late afternoon, with darkened skies and another storm on the way. Just one foot and then the other, a few shrewd choices as to where to plant the one or the other. A little snow in the shoe is the worst if I keep my eyes on my feet. It's companionable too, for a few of us on foot, with buses strewn cattywampers here and there across the landscape, all of us walking downhill and facing the icy slush, all of us thinking about the same thing, the management of our feet. Just here I look up. An Ethiopian has materialized 3 feet from my nose, in the middle of the street. He bounds along, walkie-talkie in hand, brisk moving where the tire tracks have worn through the snow to wet pavement, talking all the way. Every 10 feet or so he squats, with naked hand caresses the glistening street, all the while babbling into the other hand, held close to the mouth, walking on and on. And then at a cross street, he heads straight towards the straggling line of cars, putting up his free hand while still talking to stop the cars crawling downhill. He motions them to detour, and they obey. It seems that they are uncertain of his authority. He must have some authority in the middle of the road like that. Self-important, without jacket or gloves, and with his pants neatly pressed. But those of us on the sidewalk have a broader sweep than those in the cars. We can see the true situation. Perhaps it's the resentment as we trudge on that clarifies our vision. We know he's a madman.
We know what?
He's a madman. Who does he think he is? I know who he thinks he is. He is the elegant black policeman, perhaps the very same one as appearing in the National Geographic in innumerable photographs over innumerable years. The policeman in shining shoes, gold braid, and vizard hat, directing traffic in an overheated street. That must be who he thinks he is. confused in the coldness of the snow.
Oh.
Well, there's one thing you have to add to that poem,
Yeah.
white gloves. They
White
always
gloves.
wear
Oh,
white
that's
gloves.
right. Absolutely, you're absolutely, that's right. And they usually have a red jacket with the gold.
And a whistle.
Yeah.
Put that in parentheses, there's whistles and white gloves.
Put that under, no, tips from the other.
They try to keep the downtown streets, but you know, there's a tremendous network.
Yeah.
Streets and clean.
Especially the ones that whirl and twirl around the embankments of the ocean. Thanks.
On the night of Christmas Eve, a full moon sometimes illuminated the weeping sky. Christmas Day was dry. There was a slow brightening that day, the first in many days, and at last intricate shadows of bare branches webbed sidewalks and roads and cast themselves across building walls. At noon, the dog and I set out on our Christmas walk. Not many walkers, not many dogs, and those few small in the distance, as were two men on a porch smoking cigarettes. The men watched us closely as we came along. We were their only novelty that day, an old lady and her old dog. Their eyes and bodies shifted away as we passed by. Some people stood in an open door, passed a hooded and straight-backed baby from arm to arm. Goodbye, goodbye, they said between kisses. Come back soon. It's 1976. This is psychoanalysis. It says, no matter how total the shipwreck, his hand still fastened planks to the deck. Someone will walk across it to the beam. He keeps bobbing back like Moses on a stream. Love that. What matters the crazy moon above, the stormy waves, the wind, the calm, how young the skipper or how old, the baby's back, laughing in the hold.
Lash the shoulder pad straps under the arms. Squeeze down hard on the helmet snaps for the chin strap. She thought of the Welsh goddesses, lured out of proud virginity, giving birth in public without noticing in their rage to those Tom Thumb heroes who wander off out of the birth canal and sneak off, returning huge, disguised, loving but wry in the knowledge they must leave for good as soon as they trick the goddess into arming them so their lives as warriors can start with the blessing of the mother.
Whoa.
Sure does give you a different view, doesn't it, of men.
Other stuff.
Oh, you lost it?
Yeah. I don't know where they put it. Bonnie, have you seen the loaf of bread?
Afternoons, we like to sit on the front stairs. You bring the papers and expostulate manfully about corruption, waste, taxes, and stupidity. Your cigar keeping mosquitoes at bay and discouraging any potentially aggressive bees. I look up from the book review and nod and smile. We discuss the children fondly and hopelessly. This neighbor or that drifts in and sits to tell a disaster. Strangers walking by stop and ask about the hydrangeas. How do we get them that deep, deep blue?
It's the soil, dearie.
That's
Is there a little coffee shop down there on the beach? Yeah.
house in Maine that we rent sometimes is on an island where you,
Okay, let me get my
there are
chair.
no cars. You have to put all your stuff in a wheelbarrow and walk it across the island.
Where is it?
See you ladies later. Sutton Island. Where are you off to?
The beach.
John Donne says, no man is an island, etc., 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 tolling bells, etc. But the truth is that really,
What we're doing here, what we're supposed to learn, is how to be apart as though we were islands.
Boy,
Because
ain't it the truth?
that's how it's going to be once winter comes, when lockup comes, when we turn in. You'll be all alone somewhere and you have to be all right. You will have to find your own big, deep, clear spring, your own sustenance and power, and provide a decent harbor. Summer visitors will come, perhaps.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. I love that.
The interesting form is called a sestina. And you have these 6 words at the end of the lines. And you have to commute them in a given order. And so this has all to do with his chemistry as well as his personal life and what he did during his career. Early days, a postdoc looking for breaks, something to drink with his gin when the flux of wartime cuts off the bitter, stable supply of cinchona bark, formed a bond with the young Woodward. Quinnan had been charged to the human account at the first turn. Hail Columbia, the tropillium turn took the bull in. With non-benzonoid brakes, horns low and locked, he positively charged when aromatic night threw a red-flecked cape into a reproducible bond with a tap on a cold slate roof. Stable. Leisure, then, in which to learn that stable means singlet, that 2 electrons must turn in opposite ways, or the double bond during insertion and addition breaks. A divalent carbon species in flux is spewed into light, explosively charged. Yea, land of hope. The arrangement when charged with heat shows itself no longer stable. Single goes double and vice versa. Flux must be coped with as the ties shift and turn. Concerted work gives shelter, and he breaks bread with his precursor, that oldest bond. Start again, make a marvel, let each bond close the nutshell. Neutral, not at all charged, highly symmetrical, so when it breaks, the reaction is virtual, stable, and needing little heat to make it turn, the bull willing, at an eternal flux. Bring harvest home, measure out the hot flux of late years, in asking, is the new bond half made as the old is half broken? Turn up the heat so the ties are surcharged with the burden of proving truth stable, lasting, though the formal tie soon breaks. In this fluxional time we all are charged to ask what the bond we had thought stable will serenely turn toward as it breaks. So in this last 3-line envoy, you have the 6 words with 3 at the end and 3 in the middle, and the order is dictated by the form. So it's a very complicated form, but it was sort of suitable to this professor's kind of mind, because he had a very intricate geometrical mind. And you know, there's all sorts of references to his work in here that, you know, only a chemist would get.
Only he would, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Contemplating a necklace. Mama told me there'd be days like this, blessed Indian summer days when I could find a still moment hanging like a pearl in the yellow air of the little used parlor room, in which to wonder on the nature of pleasure, whether it were wrong to enter such a bauble alone. I brought only those I would otherwise be serving. Surely such a pause is allowed. Mama said it was okay to go in, but only so often as I found time first to bathe and be clean in that bright no-color air, requiring flamboyance and warmth. I'll give away gold and deep-hued gems, but never pearls. Mama said to keep the pearls. And then there's a follow-up.
Maybe just a choker.
Maybe just a choker. I lied. Mama never told me there'd be days like this. I just wrote that because it sounded like a song. She only likes to be called Mom. And it is wrong, always, to take pleasure alone. It isn't enough to be clean. Ich dien should emblazon the escutcheon of woman. If she should need to escape and aspire beyond husband and children, there are always unfortunate relatives and the larger community. Always remember, she says, there are some people who've never even seen a pearl. When she saw what I'd written, she said in a letter that I'd taken her name in vain. That's how she spelled it, V-A-N-E. But I knew what she meant. Never, never serve yourself, girl. Because if you do, no matter how deep inside the solitude of that moment, no matter how absent the effects of that taking on others, you will be found out. You will cause jealousy and scorn. You will be reproached. My mother loves me. She wants to teach me how to be safe, how to survive. And I have managed so far with a few close calls. When I'm with my mother, I feel just right. I love her absolutely, more than my own children, whom I will love even when I'm dead. And I believe, I know, that everything she says is true. Still, once I took her to Italy, just for a week, and after she bought presents for everyone else, she bought a pair of rhinestone and full pearl earrings just for herself. The Italians make very good imitations.
Now there's a poem. There's a poem.
Get one.
Alaska, it's 99 below. The Eskimos go swimming in 40 feet of snow. The polar bears get sunburned. The seals swim to and fro. When it's springtime in Alaska, it's 99 below.
Just have to have things over the windows so they think it's dark, you know?
Yeah.
Hawaii?
Yeah. All tied up. Like Mom and Dad's 50th anniversary,
Yeah.
and we had Bill and Lou both singing with Dad and everybody else. And Betty. Betty knew it.
Oh, yeah, Betty likes to sing.
Yeah. And so we got all their old songs that they sang when they were growing up.
Here's one we know. Mockingbird. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Daddy's gonna buy you a mockingbird. If that mockingbird don't sing, Daddy's gonna buy you a diamond ring. If that diamond ring turns brass, Daddy's gonna buy a looking glass. If that looking glass gets broke, Daddy's gonna buy you an ox with a yoke.
That's a great song for the harmonica.
You gotta get.
He can only play in one key.
Key of G.
Key of G.
All covered with snow, I lost my true lover from courting too slow. Accordance of grandeur, accordance of right, but a false-hearted lover is worse than a thief. For the thief he will rob you and take all you have. A false-hearted lover will put you in your grave. He'll hug you and kiss you and tell you more lies than the cross ties on the railroad or the stars in the skies.
How do you remember those words?
Oh, they were imprinted in early childhood.
Now come, we will have it
Carry me
sing
back to
along.
Old Virginia. Let's see if anybody can put some words to that one.
Page 40 helps.
I gotta pick the key first.
There's the lyrics.
How does the word start?
Carry me back to old Virginia.
There's where the cotton and the corn and taters grow.
That's where the
That's where the birds warble sweet in the springtime.
Old Virginia, that's where the corn from taters grow.
Spring
somewhere, fraternity, son.
My mom's fraternity song was I love you, a bushel and a peck,
A bushel and a peck and a hug around the neck, hug around the neck and a barrel and a heap, a barrel and a heap and a talking in my sleep about you, about me, yes about you.
I love you, a bushel and a peck.
You bet your pretty neck I do, I do 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 do.
My girl's an alpha, oh, she chews tobacco, sits by the fireside and spits on the hearth. When we get married, happy we'll be, underneath the weeping willow tree. I love you. B-E-S, the best of all the R-E-S, the rest for I-L-O-V-E, love you all the T-I-M-E time. If you'll be M-I-N-E, mine, I'll be T-H-I-N-E, thine. For I-L-V-E, love you all the T-I-M-E time.
That's I forgot that one.
Well, Mom was an alpha O.
Yeah.
In camp, we used to sing, boom, boom, ain't it great to be
Crazy, boom, boom,
ain't it great to be crazy, silly and foolish all day long, boom, boom, ain't it great to be crazy. A million tomorrows shall all pass away, ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. Well, I'll be a rover enough. That could go in real pretty harmony.
My favorite is Danny Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
you can
sad.
play that, guys.
Pass out the handkerchiefs. How does it go?
Oh,
Danny
boy,
the lights are calling from land to land and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, my soul and I abide. But call ye then when sun shines in the meadow, or when the valleys flushed and white with snow. It's I'll be in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. All the flowers gone, young girls everyone. Oh, will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where's the second verse?
There's about 20 verses.
Like berries in fading away, thou wouldst still speak, thou wouldst still ignore, as this moment thou art, let thy loveliness fade as it will, and around the dear sun each wish of my heart will entwine itself verdantly still. Where do fade my tomorrow and fade in my
fiddler, come play us a tune. We promise to grant you a worthiest boon. Lay up oak our walls, so gay and bright, so gay and bright. For we are celebrating Walpurgis tonight. The fiddler began how the fiddle did sing. The ladies were dancing around in a ring. When the fiddler had played the final chord, the final chord, one lady said, "Oh fiddler, come claim your reward." She tapped on his shoulder and counted to 10. The fiddler was slender and tall once again. "Oh, a fiddle no more," cried he with glee, cried he with glee. "For now the lovely ladies will go dancing with me."
All right.
That's a great song.
How did you guys? I think, did you used to sing that in junior high school?
I think maybe we did.
Yeah, I think that you
Well,
were.
peas, 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 eating
Goober peas.
Oh, we're doing that next night.
Yeah.
Goobers, peas.
Good, so delicious.
Goober peas.
It's just
Well, you could sing one
Case
round of it.
Oh,
Case of, remember we sang that on the lake?
yeah. Let's see. When I was very young, I asked my mother, what shall I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. When I was growing up,
Now that I asked, that my children asked me, I said, yeah.
now I am grown and grown. My children ask me, what will we be? Will we be handsome? Will we be rich? Here's what I say tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
That doggy in the window.
You know who's doing concerts again is Debbie Reynolds.
Early falls the dew, and what's there that can be worried? Give me where calm is true. Give me where calm is true. Which if for love you be This one is called And Fix Me Early Dinner, Too. Her 9-year-old had her help him get his football gear on. She must pull the belt tight so the pants would stay up, latch the shoulder pad straps under the arms, squeeze down hard on the helmet snaps for the chin strap. She thought of the Welsh goddesses, lured out of proud virginity, giving birth in public without noticing in their rage to those tom-thumb heroes who wander out of the birth canal and sneak off, returning huge, disguised, loving, but wry in the knowledge they must leave for good as soon as they trick the goddess into arming them, so their lives as warriors can start with the blessing of the mother. This one is called Inhale. The kids were talking about attributes the characters they imagined possessed. One had breath control, and this meant he could make his breath smell like buffalo fart, cat vomit, any damn thing he wanted to use to repel his enemies. And this character was truly invincible. His name was Dr. Swamp. These kids had no notion that breath control was something one needed to speak, sing, or write beautifully. Also, act, dance, and move as an athlete. Breath to them was something that stank, a weapon of destruction, a wind from the unborn, not a rhythmic inspiriting as it is known. Let's see. Don't record yet. After our visit to New Zealand, and it's sort of an anti-city poem. Memo, call Packers. One of the unfortunate aspects of city life for the inhabitants of the city is the narrowness these folk develop to the narrow habit of close and tense observation of the very nearest environment of their verissimo closest lives. That they tend to the smallest extreme. They frown at the noise of medium in their music, at the miscegenation of refrigerator and warm kitchen, at the raucous claims of dirt to the right to quick and immediate expungement, while simultaneously frowning at the technical difficulties of transporting a few dear ones to the wilds of New Zealand, where there presumably are no city-states. The mind ranges widely in peace and tranquility, grazing the pastures in a land of no predators, no harvest of self to prideful lions lurking in every city face. None of those, no. There is rest and exploration, unmotivated by anything other than a clean and slowly unfolding wonder. This one is Faux Pas. An older woman she, sometimes still she thought of waves, swimming in a perfectly accepting element, but mostly she worried about the future of her teeth, the approach of dinosaurs such as Oviraptor. In the bakery she saw two women with the same face, one lined and pained, the other blooming. "Are you mother and daughter?" she burst. Age glared at corner. "Sisters." Rose tucked chin eyes but smiled sideways. Watching, she blushed, sketched the pitches for "You look so much alike," and desperately ordered Rugards. For days the incident recurred without the pastry. She wondered about indoor pools and scrupulously counted both days and eggs. She remembered how it felt when they were accounted numberless. This is a very silly one. It's just playing with sound. And it was based on an actual dream I had, where a lizard was having a romance with Gifford Pinchot. There's a National Forest, the Gifford Pinchot Petrified Forest, or no, it's the Ginkgo Petrified Forest and the Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Anyway, so this was my dream. Gecko gazes at Gifford Pinchot in his forest, not far from Ginkgo Petrified, saying, Gingham tablecloth wicker basket they picnic, insisting each upon minced meat and pickles, a lopsided lizard Frenchman dish. Gecko, says Pinchot, Gifford, won't you have another pinch? Whereupon Lizard cocks her eye at Giff, licks her lips, and hints, would the fellow like a lift? Farewell to the forest, dear love, she tells him, we terminate our feast. Come away with me now to the cities, dry plantations without frog or rhamphorhynchus, but gratifying our fever-panting wish. Luckily they encounter Grand Coulee on their way to Walla Walla via Ginkgo, and are homonyming still, lollylaggards, birch-brooking no beatitudes, only unlearning GH to F in Middle English, knowing their comfort a gift. That's not too good.
Now these are from a certain time period?
Yeah, they're mostly from 1985. I just had time to, type some of these in before I left. But I didn't get to the later ones.
Uncivil engineer?
Oh, that's about the nightmares that I have when I have a fever.
Ooh.
Let's see.
What's Ten Hut?
Oh, I don't think that's too good either. Well, I'll read it. Ten Hut. Physical reality compels attention. It has adapted for that. The wind has been bred into sound by the ear. Eye has shaped color from mere vibratory variety. Form can be snatched out of pure nothing. Casual pairings please the tongue and taste sweet, even to the skin as pressure. Pleasure in feeling sound as that door to the level game called speech. Each bit of life finds a place to lie still, if only the better to listen. Attention must be paid. You'll like this one, it's about a movie. It's called Pics. Actually, the best scene in that rather hair-raising new movie about Gandhi is the still in which one knows his wife is dead the moment one hears that bird call and the crickets re-echo quietly. The doctor did not wish to be present. Gandhi followed the call slightly with his eyes and examined briefly the world of the dead. He let her go. He would not be long. The notion that the souls of the dead take the forms of birds, specific individual birds, or in myth, species, that manifest the amorous lives of their human sources, this notion is not sound. There may be something in the observed occurrences of single bird call at time of passage, and same bird hanging about after, and of course bird call is sound, but the notion remains sadly not. Birds presumably have souls of their own, and negotiate sound to their own purposes, which we perceive accurately only through an imagined extension of our reptilian brain, which is pretty low. Nevertheless, and although very nervous, Gandhi takes his wife's hand and listens. And she makes him stay. She does not want to be alone, and she has always chosen him to be her guide. The notion is not sound, but he no longer wishes always to be right. He sends his eyes away. He was always sending those who got too close away, It really is the sort of movie worth seeing more than once. It's called Insomniac. Who is he? He can only speak of what he does in real time. At 5 a.m. in August, the windows are open, of course. He wills each shred of the huge body to relax separately, to puddle down, so he can go outside and dance to the high, thin insect song without submitting to their pestiferous touch. It is so hard to keep willing the one thing, but the insects in their billions never stop. And now the crows. Acknowledged a visit. The doctors in the hospital thought he was semi-comatose. Though still he blinked, the pupils expanded and contracted. The eyes maintained themselves surely, but he seemed not otherwise to respond to changes in light, and motion attracted him not at all. Little did they realize it was merely another of his playful little exercises in mock excessive self-control. He wanted to determine whether or no subtraction of visual degrees of freedom were an approximation to blindness, unembedded negation, and the total night. It was, he found.
Yeah.
I read that before, but I think you recorded it. This is called Rub. Intriguing to be heat, as when he rubs my back really hard, up and down the whole length, as if planing wood. And when he stops, I become my back, which is heat, and just radiate, expand to fill the whole room in a boundaryless sort of way. Not pushing on things encountered, but exciting, warming, incorporating them, and it is all one for a bit, until I tingle and sink back to make it last, hardening my borders, banking the fire, so the tough old meat can simmer all night. This is written immediately after Hurricane Gloria in 1985, which went right over us in Massachusetts. It's called Regretting Glory. A hurricane? Well, yes, all right, I'll take it. Yes, let the eye go right over me, though. I want to feel what that's like, once anyway. So, this east-west breeze and the warm, sticky damp will be west to east when the moon comes up full tonight? Fine, that'll be nice. Look, the first good southeast gust has toppled that tall, ugly, rotten stump with all the fungi and bugs. Good, that's great. The wind's not yet full south, and those scrawny oaks in back have lost some big limbs. That's okay, they'll survive. One of the cliff trees uprooted? We needed the screen, but I'll just stick in an evergreen. That oak should never have picked such a bald, rocky spot. Damn stupid thing. And oh, there's the whole top of that one hitting the shed. I like that tree, but it had bad carpenter ants. This had to come, and the candles will be fun. No, not the big oak. Not that one. It's over 90 years old. This wasn't intended. Please go back. Let this not have been. Not that tree. Let the light go on. Let's talk about St. Patrick. St. Pat coming, and the equinox. That means having green foods day for the kindergarten, with the green hat and shawl. A trip before to St. Vincent's farm to buy kale and basil, mint, fennel, don't forget parsley, and so on. The kids eat it up. That can't be a snowflake. After the kids have tasted everything, they sit in a circle and chant in unison, "Give me something green to eat, give me something green to eat." And we tell them to do that in the kitchen several times a day, and get out in the sun, facing south, take off mittens, even if it snows, even if it snows. For unreason. A word can be an island, a topic, a warm place where one can wander in meaning as through a tropic jungle, cringing at hostile animal cry, panting in the thick damp, marveling at size achieved in thin soil. Take, for instance, ratiocinate, or blood. Bring a machete. Like it. It's about the Missoula floods. It's called Survivors, ? Missoula lies west of the Great Divide made by the main chain of the Rocky Mountains. Missoula lies east of the also towering Cabinet Bitterroot Range. Missoula lies south of Flathead Lake, which fills the bottom of the Great Depression between the two high walls and enclosing mountains. Missoula, the corner where the two walls meet, with just a little gap, a mouth, a pass, an opening in case of need. But sometimes, 7, 40, 80 damn times in the last 14,000 years, the gap gets blocked up with ice. Then Flathead Lake gets wider and longer and mostly deeper until it's a huge deep inland sea, 500 cubic miles of water, about the volume of Lake Superior. And that's okay, sure. The water rises slowly, plenty of time to pack up and move, head higher, get out, go away, to safety, if you live on the shores of the lake. But every time, sooner or later, much later and too late, the ice dam breaks. Each time the flood is all over in 2 weeks, and the worst of it in 2 or 3 days. Still, that initial wall of water, 2,000 feet high at the dam, it moves fast, crashing up the Clark Fork and around the top of the Bitterroot Range, spilling out into Pend Oreille and Coeur d'Alene, pounding down the Spokane at 45 miles an hour, and generally scouring the scablands of eastern Washington, finally finding the mighty Columbia, even then caught where the Horse Heaven Hills pinch the river at Wallula Gap, backing water up the Snake until Lewiston is covered 800 feet deep, ponding 400 feet deep at the Vancouver Ledge, backing water up the Willamette, the main flood still moving fast down the Columbia and way out into the ocean in huge waves with crests 100 to 200 feet apart. This kind of fluid dynamics can only be seen from somewhere very high up and far away. All this water carrying huge blocks of glacial ice. When the ice chunks melt, Canadian rocks, erratics they're called, lie stranded at Eugene. No wonder nobody finds early human artifacts in the Columbia Gorge. When Europeans visit, they always remark, "We have no history." Well, no, we haven't. We don't even have flood stories.